Hi, welcome to Chill Game Build, the place where we chill, play computer games, build Lego, and fix gadgets like this one in front of me here. We've got the iPad Mini 4 and we've got to do a screen replacement. As you can see, the current screen is cracked and we have a new screen just here. And this series is called Fix and Chill. We've play on words with the old Netflix and chill. Let's get started. So we've got this iPad here. As you can see, the screen is completely destroyed, the LCD and the glass. So we're going to replace the digitizer and the LCD. So first things first, let's get this out of the way. This is quite a difficult repair. It can take quite a bit of time, so this might be quite a long stream. I've fixed a few iPad minis before. They're not the easiest of things to fix right from the get-go. There's a lot of hassle in trying to detach the glass from the body of the device. So what I'm going to do first is apply some tape across the whole screen. So this is so that we don't get glass flicking up into our face. Don't want to go over the edges because that will be where I need to pry the glass up. Alright then, so we've got the screen covered now, so when we come to prying away at this glass around the edges, hopefully there shouldn't be too much glass flicking up into my face. So this next part is where we're going to start heating up this edge here. So I'm going to go on mute because I've got the old trusty wife's hairdryer. One more thing I just forgot to mention. So we'll just make sure the device is turned off. Now we can get to heating up the device. Just going to heat up this edge here first and then pry away and lift up the glass, starting with this side. Okay, we've got that nice and warm. Here's where it gets very tricky, so just going to edge the knife in first, see if I can shift these small pieces out. There's one piece that's come up already. So just lifting the pieces of glass, just like that. Just going to protect these pieces of glass from blowing all over the place. So that's a lesson I learned in the past. Yeah, good tip is to use a bit of tape and put all the glass on the tape. Okay, back to the hairdryer once more. This is a sort of rinse and repeat process. We get into a good point here where I can start getting underneath the glass, between the glass and the LCD, and what you can do is get right under and start lifting it from the underside, and we don't need to worry too much about damaging the LCD, which can also be hazardous, especially when you've only got a cracked screen and you need to keep the LCD. What you have to be careful with is not to bend the glass too much. And another tip is to use cards you can just slide under. So I've got one big chunk left there to get, and then it looks like there's a line here that's cracked, but then we've got a couple of big sections of glass there. So hopefully the plan is to be able to lift all of that in one go. There's a ribbon connector just here on this right side, so we'll come up and around, and then sort of around here. We have to be extremely careful there, and also be careful of the touch ID flex. So again, let's heat this up one more time. Right, so gotten under there now, and we're just starting to lift that screen away, so I might be able to get away with just sliding it under this edge. I might try that all the way around, yeah. Well, up to this one piece at least. So we've got another separation there. That is starting to lift, which is good. So it looks like we're lucky in terms of the adhesive on this screen. So I'm going to leave that card there and then approach this corner here and get one of these underneath it. Okay, that's looking good. So we're getting under this part here, right at the top. You can see the glue's still holding down the top edge. If we just carefully slide that around. Okay, that dropped out then. Let's try again. Okay. So that's starting to come up. Yeah, just got back in there. You can see the glass is flexing a bit without cracking. It's got a bit of flexibility, but not too much. So what, we're almost halfway once we get past here. So the plan is to get this edge in one go, hopefully. Might be able to slide this card under there. So we'll get another one here. Work our way across the top. We do have to be careful with the camera flex as well. That's starting to come up. That there ready. Nice. So we're halfway. And that's lifting up nicely. So we got this side here on the left edge, and then we've also got this side here on the right, on the top edge. And as you can see, there's a clear gap there. So again, tricky here because now we've got some more some more small cracks again all around here. So it's straightforward when there's no cracks, but there's one there. So that's a separate piece. There's a separate piece there. As you can see, the cracks get smaller and smaller to come close to that dangerous edge here where the flex ribbon is for the Touch ID, I believe, and for the digitizer and LCD, I think. Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier to get the little pieces out one at a time, get them out of the way, and then the big pieces, if you can get a whole card underneath, it makes it a lot easier. Okay, let's get into this corner. There's one separate piece. There's one separate piece here which I need to remove, and then that's a long piece, and then again we've got a few cracked shards there as well. So as you can see, there's the flex just there. Just about make it out, just there peeping through. And that bit's the flex, might be quite dark, but just about make it out. So yeah, definitely be extremely careful around the edge. I've probably damaged that, but again, not too worried. Oh no, mistake there. So again, putting too much pressure and the glass easily cracks. So I've made that bit a little more difficult for myself now. That was all one piece a moment ago. So yeah, take your time. It's my advice. Don't try and rush these repairs, like I was just trying to do there. Now I've got to get all these little pieces out. Sometimes they stay conveniently on the adhesive, and you can sort of lift the adhesive. You sort of just have to find what works for you in your situation. As you know, glass doesn't always shatter in the same place. Because I can get the angle of this in here, and it seems like the whole thing shifts forward, I might just about be able to get away with lifting it. We can get behind the LCD already. Might be able to lift it out from the bottom. That's an idea. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing this if you need to keep the LCD. Yeah, we're starting to be able to see under there now. So we can see under, in between the screen. So yeah, I think what I'm going to try and do is lift it out. And we sort of need to open it a certain angle. Yeah, so what we need to do is have it fold open like that and come up towards us from the bottom, because the ribbon cables are bent down here. So bring it up. On other models it opens like a book. on this model. We want to open it up. So yeah, we've got the card all the way under now. Going all the way around. Just get rid of the adhesive there. I think we might be good. Yeah, that's going to open. So again, lift it very, very carefully and slowly. And as you can see, just here is the flex cables. So we don't want to damage those. So we can move on to the next step now. So I just want to show you, there's the flex cables just there. Next step is we've got a few screws. A couple there and a couple there. So 4 screws that we need to remove. So bottom right corner of the iPad, there are 4 screws that we need to remove, and just be careful not to damage any of the flex cables. So we'll hold it like this and get the trusty wow stick with the Phillips screwdriver bit. And I'm using this magnetic pad over here on the left to hold the screws in place. And I try and align them to how they've come out, just like that. So same alignment, 2 at the bottom, 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top and 1 on the left. 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top, 1 on the left. Okay, and this bracket should now come up. Just line that up next to the screws, just for ease of keeping track of what's going on when it comes to putting it back together. So now we want to disconnect the battery first, so we just got to be careful, and it's this one here. So once again, we got the screws out, and we just want to disconnect this battery here. So that flexes up. We'll also disconnect these 2. Pop them out like so. So all of that should be able to come out now. So as you can see, it's just being held on slightly by the tape. And there we go, we've separated the screen. Here's the old screen. Still need to get the button out. Put that to one side. And here's the iPad. Obviously a bit of glass still to get rid of, and just clean up a bit of the insides. So yeah, I'm just going to tidy up the edges first. Carefully taking out the glass. And the residue 3M tape around the edges. So as you can see, there's a bit of 3M tape residue there. And we'll just peel that away to make sure all the edges are nice and clean, ready for when we need to stick down the new screen. Just got to be careful not to damage any of the internal components. Just scraping away any leftover glue and the tape, because we want the whole surface to be as clean and as smooth as it can be, so that when we stick the new tape down, it's got all equal surface to adhere to. Tip as well for cleaning up the mat is just to use tape. It's quite a time-consuming process, this part. And you just have to pay attention to getting as much as you can out. If you want to go the extra mile, you can use isopropyl. Is it isopropyl? Alcohol. So it won't damage the board, but you'll be able to remove any sort of sticky gunk using that and some cotton swabs. Not necessary here, really. I mean, you, like I say, you can if you want it to be perfect. But as long as there's no major bits that are sticking out higher than the rest, you can get away without it. Just have to be extremely careful, especially around these flex ribbons here. Yeah, what I've found in the past is if you don't remove all this excess gunk, the new screen won't sit perfectly and it will keep lifting. So I'm being extra vigilant here. So just being extra careful here around the camera, the front camera module. Just trying to get that adhesive out the way. Sometimes it looks like you've got it all and then there's another thin layer of it. So I'm applying quite a lot of force, but I have to still be careful not to bend the shell. Okay, I think we're about good there in terms of removing as much gunk and adhesive around the edges. Just a couple of bits. Try and get rid of. Just get that out of the way. Have to be extremely careful as well if using metal tweezers and metal pieces, not to short anything. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. So as you can see, there's still a bit of residue, but for the most part it's quite flat. I might just have a quick go over once more. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the more you can get rid of, the less likely you'll have any issues sticking down the new screen. There's nothing worse than getting to the end, thinking you're done, and then realizing it's not sitting flush. And having to come back and do this at the end. Cool. Okay, let's get all this mess up with the tape. Start a new piece. So in terms of the rest of the content on my channel, feel free to check out the gaming content. Currently playing American Truck Simulator, doing a parking challenge where I challenged myself to park lorries in difficult parking situations and build up my trucking driving skills. Also got a ride along series where it's a bit more chill, so it's just music and not really any talking. So yeah, you can just have that on in the background to chill to. And I'll also be playing a few other games in the future, so keep your eyes peeled for those if you're interested in that sort of content. And I'll also be doing some Lego builds, hopefully. Yeah, that sort of stuff I enjoy, so stick around and check out my other videos. Drop a like, comment and subscribe. Love to hear from you. Alright, let's continue with this repair. So the next part is actually getting the button flex out of here. So yeah, we're going to get the button flex out of here, and it looks like it's connected just here. And we need to remove the adhesive that runs along there. Okay, so let's start by removing the flex. So that should lift up. Does it lift? It's a tiny little flap there, can't really tell. It's just there. Oh no, it's just here. There we go. So yeah, there's a tiny little flap that I've just flicked up there. Hopefully you can make that out. You can see that moving. So it needs to flip up like that. Just there. That will enable this flex cable to come out. So we want to be very careful as these are extremely delicate. My tweezers aren't even. I'm going to use a knife here, but don't worry, I've got a steady hand. So that's coming up just ever so slightly. I can get the tweezers under now. I think there's a bit of adhesive there. Just want to carefully pull that towards. There we go. So we've got that flex out there. Just move along with the plastic spudger tool to remove the adhesive. Just taking that very slowly. Again, we don't want to kink the cable or anything. Seems like coming in at an angle, sort of a diagonal angle. Seems to be doing the trick. I'm just sort of rocking the spudger left and right like that as I go. Okay, and we're going to work our way around here now. Lifting it slowly. I might just heat that up ever so slightly. Okay, so I've just heated that up slightly. Hopefully the adhesive will loosen a little bit, making it easier to lift this. Thing is, you don't want to damage this part, especially because the Touch ID is tied to the motherboard. It's linked, you know. So if you damage it and replace it, Touch ID won't function. The button will still work, but the Touch ID feature will not function with a replacement part. Ah, there we go. Right. So that part's up now. And now there's a bit more adhesive on this bottom part here. You need to get all around here and lift all of that button up. So just inspecting closely, there's a bracket here sitting over the top and it's just held down by, I believe, these sticky tabs. So we want to lift off this bracket by removing those sticky tabs very, very carefully. Might be better off just lifting the flex first. It's difficult to get under it, especially with the way how closely mounted it is to this part. To be fair, I'm lucky because I'm not too worried about the screen. Can bend this glass away, give myself a bit more access. It's almost up. Yeah, there we go. See the tape just holding on there. And that piece can now come out. So that's just a bracket that sort of holds the home button in place. Keep that to one side just here. And now we'll continue going around the edge. Continue going around the edge here with the spudger and just lifting this flex cable all the way to the home button. I'm going to take it back over to this camera, so you might not get as much detail, but need to be extremely careful. Looks like a bit of glue's got on under. Attach this flex to this glue here, which is frustrating. Just have to be careful with that loose bit of glass as well. So we are slowly getting under there. Just concerned that don't want to cause any damage to this flex cable. Have to be extremely careful. Just carefully getting under here, and I think that's it. Yeah, we're up. We're up and out. Okay, and then we just need to get the rubber sort of gasket lifted, and that's the home button out of the old screen, hopefully. Okay, and what we're actually going to do is warm up that gasket, and then we should be able to press it out actually. Okay, so we've warmed up that gasket that's holding the button in place, and just want to peel back a bit of this tape so we can get to the home button. I'll be able to just push that button out. Yep, that's coming out. And that is the home button out. Just need to separate it from that piece of plastic that's holding it in place. Just going to very carefully cut it without cutting the flex cable. And the home button is free. So there's the home button there. As you can see, there's a bit of adhesive there. It's holding all of that part down and adhesive around the rubber gasket. So yeah, be very careful with that piece. We'll put that to one side. And that's the old screen done. There is also a sensor here that if your new screen doesn't come with it, you have to peel back this. Let me get the view on here. Yeah, you have to peel back this tape here and desolder that. So that needs to be desoldered. It's a little flex that goes across there. Which also needs to move across if you want to keep the sleep-wake function. If your new screen doesn't have it. So here's a new screen, and as you can see, it has got that there already. So we don't need to worry about resoldering that on there. Although it looks like we do need to transfer the little gasket there, I think. So that came out nice and easy. And I just took the tape off there as well. So we'll put that on the new one. And I'll use the tweezers to carefully place that. Quite fiddly this is. In fact, I'll line it up onto the tweezers first. And hopefully I'll be able to place it on here instead. And that can sit on the screen here. Now you may have noticed that the old screen is white and the new is black, but I got sent the wrong part, but the customer was happy to, you know, settle with a black screen rather than having to wait for a white screen to be sent. Now we're pretty much at the halfway point now in total. So we've got the old screen off and we've got the button flex. We now need to install the button flex onto the new screen and yeah, get the new screen on, test it, and then seal it back up. Just need to align the button into place. Which isn't perfectly aligned, but as you can see, black screen, white button. So I want that aligned just right because we're going to put some adhesive on there as well. Okay, that's the button dropped into place. And next up is putting the gasket back on. Not the gasket, the bracket. And it's always a good idea to make sure that it is lined up properly. And we'll give the button a quick press to test it. Yep, that's all good. Cool. New button back in place. Well, old button in place on the new screen. So what I'm going to do now, in fact, is test the new screen and hopefully everything's working. And well, just before I do that, I need to put the flex cable in place for the Touch ID. So that just slides under there, wiggles in till it's flush, and then that clips down over the top to hold it firmly in place. Okay, so we need to clip the connectors back on. Make sure they're aligned. Sometimes I like to do these by hand because you get a bit more of a feel for when the connectors are aligned. And the battery. It's very important to make sure these are pressed in securely before you connect the battery. And bend the screen back down slowly. Now we'll get this on and see if it's working. That's a good sign. And I'll just test. Yeah, we're happy with that. So we'll turn it back off. I accidentally turned it back on, but I'll turn it back off in just a second. Okay, that's switched back off. So we want to be very careful lifting this back up and open it like a book again. Very slowly. And I'm going to disconnect the battery again and the other connectors because we need to put some adhesive on. Next step is to apply some 3M tape around the edges. I wish I had some slimmer tape. So actually, this is actually too wide for the bezel, which isn't ideal, but I can get by. So we just trim some 3M tape to size, and to be fair, it's probably better to attach it to the screen. You want to put it as close to the edge as you can. Again, just taking as much time as needed. I like to apply a little bit extra on this side. As you can see here, got a bit more space what we can stick down to. So when that aligns there, when it closes, it will stick to there. Okay, this is where it gets tricky without having the right width tape. In fact, what I'll do for the edges is go and I might either try and trim it down the middle, or I might stick it to the inside, to the chassis instead. Yeah, we'll go with the chassis instead. I think that's the best option. And we'll just use a pry tool spudger just to press that down so it adheres nicely. Same again on this side. It's always good to try and keep it as sealed as possible, you know, to prevent dust and all sorts getting under the display. So this is probably the most stressful part, is having everything ready, prepared to close up, and we just want to make sure we remember to put the screws back in and ensure that the connectors are all connected securely. as we don't want to have to open up this device again after applying the tape. So we'll peel the side pieces and ensure the 3M tape is down securely on here. Just quickly show you. So we've done the 3M tape like this, and we're just obviously cutting around here so we'll be able to stick it down as much as we can, cover as much area as we can. And you also want to be careful of when you peel the 3M tape here, it doesn't stick down to the flex cable, because that can be a bit frustrating. And it's also a good idea to pre-bend these flex cables, because what tends to happen is once these are stuck in, if they're not bent, they'll try and straighten out, and you'll find that the screen will lift from there, in that sort of angle. So again, gently press those down and round them off. Just show you on this screen here. Let's get that out of the way. So again, yeah, I think this one's more intended to bend down in and back. I want to be careful not to bend it too much, because this sits pretty flush, and this one's actually got a bit of texture to it, so it doesn't. So it's got a point where it can just stay fairly straight there. So it's going to look like that. Just hold that for a few moments and wiggle it a little bit, very gently still. Cool, that's ready. So we just need to take off the adhesive from here, and we'll do one more test before we stick it down permanently. So again, just careful around this part here. Alright, there we go. So we're ready to clip the connectors back into place. Okay, they're both in place. We'll put the power one down, and then before we close this thing back up, just power it on. Yep, we've got light, so we can start closing it. No, we can't. No, we can't. See, this is why we have to take our time. Still need to put the brackets on. So we'll turn that back off. Just make sure. Just want to make sure the home button's all good. So home button's all good as well. Digitizer not liking my swipe. It might just be because of the screen protector. No, we got no action there. This is where it gets tricky when you're trying to make sure everything's alright. Something seems to be interfering with the digitizer. Not sure if it's because of this residue that's left on the screen. I think it might be some sort of residue left on the display after from the screen protector or something. Can't really make it out on this camera, but It seems to be when it's swiped to power off, that's not responding. Okay, it did there. Alright, so I'll need to investigate that before I close this up. It could be that the flex just wasn't perfectly seated. And what I'll do is apply a bit of capped-on tape on there. So just to prevent anything from shorting that may affect, that may adversely affect the digitizer. I'm just going to put some capped-on tape on that. Everything else seems okay. So this capped-on tape will just prevent any sort of static or electrical current passing through. And we'll just stick that on there. Just to cover up those exposed parts. Alright, let's go again. That one's clicked in nicely. And so is that. Battery's in. Test it once more. Touch seems to be working. Much better. Yeah, that's fine. That's it. No. It's okay with up and down, but not like in... yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's fine. As long as we can shut it off now. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Something going on. So just want to carefully lift this back up, and we're going to reinstall this plate here. And we'll get these screws in. Does help having a magnetic drill bit, but you have to be careful with it. There's one. Nice. Last two. Difficult to get an angle on this one. You don't want to lift up the screen too much and break the flex cables. And one more time before I close it up, just to make 100% sure we're happy with the installation. Happy with the home button. Happy with the touch. Good. So the screen can now be pressed down all the way around the edges. Yeah, I'm not sure what all this is. Some sort of residue. Yeah, we'll put pressure around the edges. And what I like to do is actually rest something that will apply pressure on top. Stack a couple of books on top overnight and let the adhesive really stick down. There's some sort of coating on this screen. I'm not sure whether it should have stayed, but I'm really not happy with the quality of this screen. I mean, you can see that even on the low quality camera, but so switch over to the DSLR. There's a weird coating on it, which it is peeling away. I've never had that on a screen before. It's like a protective layer. And I have to take all of that off. I can't give a repaired iPad like that. Also, the button is a bit janky, really. I might end up opening this back up. That button's going to move about. The way the button's stuck in there, it's just held in with a bit of glue. Also, the light sensor doesn't seem to be kicking in. It's just on like a low brightness, like you can barely see. Tempted to open it back up and get the hot glue gun to glue down that that bracket that's on the home button. I think I have to do that. This is horrendous. It's not even coming apart in one go. It's just, as you can see, just balling up into little pieces.